Ashley Rodrigue has been in Mississippi today. She is in Gulfport for us right now, near a marina there. And Ashley, what are you seeing?
Hey, sorry, I got distracted for a second because police are actually here at the marina telling people to stop coming into here to get a look at what's going on with the surge. They're also encouraging any boat owners who are out here to get off the docks, leave the area. The curfew here starts at 7 o'clock. So we actually came over here. We wanted to get a look at what was going on around the town. We came over here because the first thing that we noticed were the lack of boats. So people were heeding the warning, they had to remove their boats. But then as we got closer, we noticed, as you can hear the sirens, they're pushing people out. As we got closer to this area, we noticed that the docks here are covered with water. It's a good foot above the bottom of the docks, where the wood base is. I can't go out too far because I have short boots, but you get the idea. That's supposed to be a walkway where people can walk out and they can bring their boats and launch them here, and it's completely covered. Another interesting note is we were here probably about 20 minutes. When we first got here, the water was nowhere near this here where the cement splits into asphalt, but since we've been here over the past 20 minutes, the water has gone past that point several times, and it's almost created a heavy surf of its own. It's gotten way up past even these white lines at some point, and the wind has started to pick up. The rain is starting, and it's actually on a slant. So Nate is definitely starting to show itself here in Gulfport. And as I mentioned again, I'm not sure if you can see, there's some blue lights off in the distance. They are continuing to try to get people to go back home and to get, if they're whatever they're doing with their boats out here, get them off of the docks, off of the boats, home to a safe place, because again, that curfew here starts at 7 p.m. Also, about an hour or two ago, someone actually had to be rescued off of a sailboat over by the Silver Slipper in Hancock County. MEMA, the emergency agency here in the state, made a last-minute rescue decision because the Coast Guard said they were not going to go out there because the situation was getting too dire. So again, off the boats, in a safe place, off the roads, in your homes. There are some shelters available. We did have a conversation with a man a little bit ago who said he's not really worried. He's been here since Betsy, so he's seen a lot. He said that he felt that the surge was only going to essentially get across the main beach boulevard. He didn't think it was going to get too far into any of the homes or into the neighborhood. So he's kind of optimistic, and we're optimistic with him. So for right now, here we are at the Gulfport Marina. You can see that it's starting to get a little dark out here, and as I mentioned, the water continually coming up, rain's starting to fall, and it's got a little wind going to it. So I think we'll be seeing a little bit more very soon.
Just before we let you go quickly, clearly the police officers are turning some people around, but in general, it looks pretty like people have gone home. Sure. And they are off the street there. I guess we do not have Ashley anymore.
Yeah, we might send Ashley a note
ask her
to,
a further question about that. But
we might send her a note too to get taller boots here, especially if she's going to go walking in the water.
Well, but when fortunately, she explained the situation with the water covering the dock, because otherwise, without a visual clue, I didn't know that that's what that was. But I mean, her saying that that is where the wooden dock was, the water has come up quite a bit. You know, and the situation that she was explaining there before, people moving boats and people moving out as well, that's certainly a blanket statement that you can put back.
Something happened.
Across
you're good. Keep on.
The Gulf Coast. And I think if we have Ashley still here. Ashley, can you hear us?
I did. I heard you guys talking about, there was a question you guys had about the traffic. And when we first came to you guys about an hour ago, there is light traffic. There was light traffic. There is light traffic. I think this particular spot, sometimes even in New Orleans, people had their spots where they go, and it helps them understand the gravity of the situation. It gives them a good idea where things are at. And so I think this is just one of those locations for people in Gulfport. They come here, they know where the water's supposed to be. They get an idea by looking at it, where it is, and how bad things might be getting from there. So that would be really why I think this seemed to be a real popular place for people while we were here, even though on the roads there's barely anybody there. And then I heard you talk about my short boots too. But I will come back over here because Natalie was talking about how helpful that was to kind of explain. I value dry feet, so I'm not going to get my socks wet. But I basically, if I can walk normally when the water isn't up about a foot, I would walk straight out, just like a normal dock. You would walk right here on either side of this. This is where you would be able to launch your boat. And I would say the water is about 1.5 feet up now. If I walked to the actual where the wooden part starts, I would say the water would be here. if I went to it, and my boots only go here. So it's just above, but it's probably not good for me to go out there anyway, because as I mentioned, this water is starting to get a surf to it, a little bit of a sort of like a life of its own, if you will. So I might be, if I go out there, unsafe in doing so, because it might push me over, lose my balance a little bit with a current, if you will. So as I mentioned before, if you can see the water down here, it's got a surf and it's coming up, and it keeps coming up as we've been standing here further and further. And it hasn't been very long at all, maybe 20, 25 minutes, that it's really gotten from a point where it sort of should be to really where it definitely shouldn't as it gets closer to the road here. So that's a good indicator that the surge that they've been warning about is happening, and it's going to keep happening.
Ashley, and certainly the speed in which Carl was describing how this is going to move onto shore and along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, as Ashley was kind of pointing out, that marina might be the reference point for a lot of folks. That's
right.
certainly the lakefront here for a lot of folks here in New Orleans.
Well, and it is way too early for her to get wet feet. So I completely understand not waiting all the way out there.
We don't want to encourage her to be unsafe
No,
either.
no. So, but again, a good indicator of what we're seeing there in Mississippi.